Hey guys, I'm Mel and this is my March wrap-up. So this month I read 9 books, which is good, but I would have liked to read 10 and to have like a round number for my OCD, but 9 is good, 9 is good. The first book that I read is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. And it's a book that everybody's been talking about. I wanted to check it out as soon as I could. Plus, it sounded really interesting. So Red Queen is a dystopian book where the society is divided by blood. Those who are common have red blood and those who are the elite have blue blood. And the elite has like supernatural ability. Mara, the protagonist, is a red, and then they discover that she also has an ability even though she's red blood. To cover the ability that she has, the king makes her marry the prince, and she's drawn to the silver world and to the royalty, and she has to know how to survive in that world. This was an interesting book, but for me, remembering now, it wasn't as good as I thought it would be. I think a lot of people compare it to The Selection, and I really didn't like The Selection. I didn't hate Red Queen. I thought it was really good, and I liked how the world was built. At the beginning, I wasn't really interested in it. I wasn't invested in the world, I wasn't invested in the story. But at the end, I really wanted to know what happened, so I'm probably going to read the next book. The next book that I read is A Darker Shade of Magic by B. Schwab. This is a book about a guy who lives in a world where there are 4 different Londons and they have different colors, and because he put it there to, identify them. There is a red London, there is black London, there is a grey London, and there is a white London. And Kel, the protagonist of the book, he can travel through the world, and the magic exists, but in some of the London the magic is not there anymore, and some of the London it's there, it's more present, and he learned how to live in each world. And once he's fleeing into Grey London, he meets with this girl who is a thief, who she doesn't know where she belongs, and she wants to travel around the world, and she wants to live adventures and stuff. Basically, she forces him to take her to another world. Then the adventure starts. I thought it was a really good book. It was really well written. The characters were interesting, the world was amazing. It's something I haven't read before. It's something really original. I thought B.B. Schwab put an amazing pace to the story. So it has survival, and it has magic, and it has like this incredible world. The next book that I read, the thing is that this month I tried to combine contemporary and dystopian or fantasy or things like that. I ended up reading 3 Colleen Hoover books. So the first book that I read is Maybe Someday, and every time I think about this book, I just it's so cute. This is a book about Sydney, who is 22 years old, who is in a place in her life where she doesn't know what she wants to do. She's just broke up with her boyfriend who was cheating with her best friend, and she meets this guy who she saw all the time playing the guitar in front of her house. He composes music, and he asks her to write songs for him and his band, and she can stay in the apartment where he lives with other people. But obviously, nothing in Colleen Hoover is as easy as it looks. I thought this book was amazing. Colleen Hoover is the best new adult. I haven't read a lot of new adults, but in contemporary and this kind of books, I think Colleen Hoover is one of the best writers there is. I think I'll put her in my author list at the same point as Rainbow Rowell and Stephanie Perkins. The thing about those 3 authors is that they write real people, like really good descriptions. If you read Maybe Someday, I would recommend to. It comes with a soundtrack that is in Spotify and iTunes. As they are writing the songs, I would recommend to listen to the songs. So now I have them in my phone and I listen to them all the time. Maybe Someday. The next Colleen Hoover book that I read is Confess, and this is the last book that she wrote. And this is about a girl who has to find a job, and she bumps into this guy, and he has an art gallery, and his show is called Confess. And the thing about the show is that people, you know, just normal people, leave confessions in his gallery, and he reads those confessions, and he does paintings with those confessions. Nothing is as easy as it looks in Colleen Hoover's words. The thing is that they both have different secrets that they are hiding, and those secrets are going to make that maybe they can never be together, maybe they can, you know, all the roller coasters of life. And the thing is about this book, as I said before, Colleen Hoover is an amazing writer and everything. In this book, you can see the paintings that he's making. So those paintings were amazing. I think Colleen Hoover is going to places where authors normally don't go, genre, and like the thing about her characters is that they are all so complex. They all have interesting stories, and they don't leave everything because they fall in love with a guy or because they like a guy. And the last Colleen Hoover book that I read this month is Ugly Love. This is a book about a girl who goes to do her master in Chicago, I think, and she lives with her brother, and he meets his brother best friend, and you know, he's like this mysterious guy, and she doesn't know what's going on with him, and she doesn't really like him at first. They have this sexual tension, and they kiss, and then they decide that she's not really looking for a serious relationship. We don't know what's going on with this guy, but he doesn't really like a relationship. So they decide that they want to just have casual sex, or they make this arrangement where, you know, they are not going to fall in love, and they are not going to ask more from this relationship. This guy has a lot of secrets, and she has to deal with those secrets. The thing about this book has a lot of sex, okay? If you're not comfortable with books that has a lot of sex, don't read this book. It was a really good book, and it wasn't only sex, of course. And now they're making a movie of this book, that's why I read it. I would have liked for them to make a movie about maybe someday, but I'll take Ugly Love, but I don't know how they are going to do all the sex scenes. Anyways, for me, the Colleen Hoover books are first Maybe Someday, then Slam, then Confess, and then Ugly Love, until now. The next book that I read is The Winner's Crime by Marie Rutowski. This is the second book in the Winner's trilogy, and I can't tell you a lot about the book because it's going to have spoilers. What I can tell you about this book is that I absolutely adore it. I think what this book has that a lot of like kind of this genre doesn't have, you know, not everyone is perfect, and the main character of this book, the girl, you know, they have to make so hard decisions. They make mistakes, and they are like normal people who make mistakes, who they know that if they make a decision, it's probably going to affect a lot of things. It's not going to affect only that one thing that they are making the decision of. So it was really interesting. The next book that I read is The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. And it's a book about this town that has to live with fairies. You know, all the things that happen when you live with fairies, like living in a world where strange things happen all the time. It's combining the normal world, being normal teenagers, with living in a world with, you know, magic in it. So the next book that I read is Vicious by B. Schwab. This is a book about two like scientist guys who are doing their thesis, and one of them discovers that there are people who has like extraordinary abilities. So they start doing, you know, trial, and they start experimenting, trying to find out how, if they exist and how they are created and stuff. They realize that with near-death experience, if you survive that experience, you are probably going to have an extraordinary ability. It's such an interesting book, it's so well written. And the thing about this book, which was so interesting, is the theme of morality. What is right and what is wrong, and you know, who's a hero and who's a villain. You realize that everyone is their heroes in their own story. Who's a hero and who's a villain? You never know. There's such gray areas. You know, nothing is completely right and nothing is completely wrong. The ambition and the betrayal and the superpower. that was so interesting and well done. And the last book that I read this month is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, and this is one of the classics that I've been wanting to read forever. And it's a story about in a town in the south of United States. They're in the late 30s, and the narrator of the book is a little girl who's like, well, at the beginning is like 6 years old. The town is dealing with all the racial issues, the issues against black people, the privilege of white people, and all the in-betweens. And you know, it's really interesting reading that from a perspective of a 6 years old. I really like reading books about little towns, because the thing is that you end up knowing all the characters in the town. Like, they all have their own personality, they all have their own views, and you end up knowing them. I thought this book was so well written. Of course, I mean, it's a classic. I think it's an unforgettable novel. Okay, so those were all the books that I read this month. So what did you read this month? That was everything for today. Hope you have a great day. Hope you liked it. If you did, subscribe, and see you when I see you. Bye!